No show for us last week. We're bouncing back. NASCAR, Texas Motor Speedway, Cup Series. Let's do it, guys. What is up, guys? Welcome to the Edge DFS. My name is Tyson Smith, joined by the guys at Dynasty DNA. Sterling and Ryan. Sterling, Ryan, what's going on with you guys? Ryan, you're just getting off of work. Sterling, you and I both a little tired, but we're drinking some caffeine, gonna get it going. How you guys doing?
Not too bad. How's it going?
Not bad, man. Sterling, what's up with you?
Gonna break down some NASCAR here and win some money.
I think Draftkings owes us some.
How have you guys been doing the last few weeks? Because I haven't been doing great. I don't know about you guys.
Richmond, I killed it, and then last week I kind of broke even.
Yeah, that's pretty much been it. Bristol, I got my ass kicked, and then every week since, I've just basically broke even, or a little less than that, actually.
Just living to fight another day. You can't hate that, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
All right, guys. So let's get things going here. I'm going to switch over to this view. So what do we need to know about this track? If there's any noobs out there watching, trying to build some DFS lineups, what is this comparable to? What should we be expecting on a track like this, on a day like this, with the weather and everything like that?
So it is a mile and a half.
Yeah.
It used to actually be a lot like Atlanta until they reconfigured Atlanta. But I'm trying to think, the closest track that it comps to is Charlotte, and we haven't raced there yet this year. But it's a mile and a half. It's got a dog leg on the front stretch, and kind of long corners. But the weather today, I think it's gonna maybe make passing a little difficult. What do you think, Sterling?
I think Tyson said it's supposed to be like 80 degrees down there, so should be warm enough that we see a little bit of tire wear, but definitely not going to be like last season when everybody was just wrecking, it seemed.
Yeah. Last year they came here and the weather was over 100 degrees, so it just ate tires up pretty bad. So
and Texas is like it's had the most caution since, I want to say, 2017 or something. It was reconfigured in 2017 and has had the most cautions ever since.
Interesting. So are we expecting high variance, dudes crashing out in this one, you think?
Yes and no. Like, it's not gonna be like Daytona or anything. You're still gonna need a dominator, and it's still gonna be a regular build, but there is gonna be a little bit of added variance.
Yeah, I mean, one thing in practice that kind of stuck out was Kyle Busch and Jimmy Johnson both losing the car just by themselves. So I mean, the track might be, those are guys that should know how to control their race car. I mean, them guys aren't noobs. I mean, they're NASCAR champions and champions of the sport. So I mean, seeing them kind of lose control of the car by themselves, might be foreshadowing. Maybe it's a little bit of a trickier track, or
Kyle Busch did come out though and say that he pitted. They made an adjustment because he was way too tight.
Okay.
So then they ended up going way too far, loosened the car up too much, and he just spun her out.
Okay, I did not see that. Yeah, that makes sense. Jimmy Johnson, I mean, I don't know what happened there.
He just has hardly any experience in this car, and he's the new Jimmy Johnson, I guess. He's not what he once was.
Right. Toby Keith.
Yeah.
Ain't as good as he once was.
So speaking of dominators here, so obviously Kyle Larson's up top here. Is this a lock? I mean, I'm looking at ownership projections. I'm looking at like median projections, and he's far ahead of everyone else. Is this a situation where we just say, screw it, like, let's not get too weird. We can get weird in other ways. And, this is a situation where a guy who's projected to be around maybe 50% owned, is this a lock or is this a fade? Like, I feel like that's kind of the way to do it. Like, are we going under the field on this guy since he's going to be the highest owned by far, or are we just embracing it and getting above the field even more? What do you guys think about that, Sterling?
If I'm going to go either way on that, I'd lean more towards a lock. He started on the pool in 2021 in this same race. Now, that was a completely different car, but he did have 110 Dominator points in that race from the pool for a total of 155 points. So he's shown he can definitely lead pretty much the entire race here. So, and we've seen it time and time again. We just seen it at Las Vegas back in March. So he can definitely get her done.
Yeah, no, I did hear a stat, and it was kind of funny that he finishes in the top 5 in the new gen car. Like, I can't even remember the percent. It was like 33 or 40 something percent, and he never finishes from 6th to 10th. It's like 8% or 9%. So he is a lot of like checkers or wreckers kind of guy. So I mean, if you do fade him, I understand, but I'm with Sterling where I'm full push.
He's got that number 1 pit stall too, and they've been like top 3 as far as pit crews go. So definitely liking a lot of Kyle Larson.
And a thing to consider is that with all the cautions that could happen, we might see a lot of pit stops. So having that first pit stall might be an advantage, because I mean every time there's a caution, chances are they're going to come down pit road, unless we see that these tires don't wear. But I think they will wear.
Yeah, I want to say they have 9 sets. So anytime there's a caution, we should see them on pit road.
What jumped out to you guys, if anything, about practice and qualifying? Like, any guys surprise you? Anybody disappoint you? Like you said, we saw Kyle Busch down here. He was starting 35th. He feels like he might pick up some ownership starting that far back. What are your thoughts on Busch, and anybody else jump out to you, Ryan?
So Kyle Busch is going to a backup car because he did wreck it, and I don't know. Kyle Busch is like, I mean, Sterling can probably contest this. He's like one of the most passionate drivers probably in the field, and with that comes a little bit of attitude. And I feel like with his bad runs lately, and then him coming here and crashing the car, I feel like I don't want to say he's not going to give it all, because he'll probably give it all, but he's probably going to like drive pissed off, and I don't think it's going to be in the good way. So I have him as a fade. What do you think, Sterling?
That's pretty much where I'm at. He did pick up his 21st career win at Texas Motor Speedway Friday night there in the truck race, which that was his 6th truck race win here. He's got, I believe, 10 Xfinity wins and then 4 Cup wins here. But at 9K starting last, he needs at least 16th to hit value. And at that point, I don't think 5X is going to be enough for him. I would rather find 200 or 300 more to get up to Chastain or Elliott, or even 500 more to get up to Bell. But yeah. I have a lot love for the guys around Busch than I do him. So yeah. I'm just going to be 100% fade of Kyle Busch.
Yeah, because he just hasn't run good the past couple weeks either. I mean, it just seems like something's missing somewhere. And I mean, this pit crew also.
That's exactly where I was going to go.
Yeah, this pit crew also has been shooting themselves in the foot all year. And if they have to make, let's say, 7 pit stops, chances are somebody's going to mess up somewhere. So,
yeah, I've seen her pit crew ranking, and I want to say they were like the 34th team.
That wouldn't surprise me.
31st team.
Yeah. So that's definitely something to consider coming to Texas, where we might pit, like I said, 7. If they pit 7 times, it would not surprise me.
So make sure you guys are in the Dynasty DNA Discord. There's a link down below to that. We've got Sterling's write-up as usual, which is incredibly helpful. That's free. The Discord's free. So make sure you jump in there. There's a lot of smart guys in that Discord who know their NASCAR. And as you're building, feel free to jump in there and ask questions, and then get this breakdown is super helpful. Speaking of the breakdown, let's get into our breakdown. Let's do it.
All right.
Break it down.
All right, so we're gonna have Saber Sim up here, and we're gonna have Sterling's written breakdown. How do you guys want to handle this? You want to go by salary and just go down the list and any guys that jump out to you, and then when we get down to the bottom, we can talk about our cores and all that stuff?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna let you guys cook. Kyle Larson, 11K. Like we talked about earlier, this feels like a just lock button, or if you want to get weird and you want to potentially close your laptop with no money, you could choose to fade him and hope that something weird happens. But Larson at 11K is the most expensive. We've already established that we probably want to embrace him. Sterling, you want to talk about any of these other guys? You want to kind of go down in order and just touch on guys that jump out to you?
The guy right below him, salary wise, William Byron, he could be a decent play today, just for the simple fact that their pit crew has been top 3, and he's got nice pit stall there with the where is that at? He has
right there.
Yeah, he's got open stall with can't think who's in the 10 car.
No, Gregson.
Yeah. But so he should be able to get in and out of pit road pretty clean. And then we've seen he was fast at Las Vegas. He's already got 3 wins this season. So that team definitely runs a lot of speed. He's going to be someone to have in my Dominator pool. But I think I have 5 Dominators written up, and he'll be the 5th guy in there.
What about Hamlin this week, guys? 10.5K. I mean, we always got to sprinkle in a little bit of him, right?
Yeah, he's definitely one to sprinkle in a little bit of. His practice times don't really look. He looks like he's got a little bit of long speed, but his practice times didn't really look good. But he is a guy that, like, it always seems Sterling could probably. I don't know if Sterling will agree with this. It seems like he's a guy that, like, if he starts bad, he can definitely. He's kind of like a closer. Like he could definitely be there at the end. Like he's one that I think he knows how to adjust on his car. And I think he's good at relaying what he needs, and his pit crew gets it done. And, he eventually gets up there. He does have the best pit crew. So I'm sure they're first on the rankings.
I want to say they were 6th.
6th. Wow.
Yeah. Elliott is first.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
But I don't know. As far as Hamlin, I could see him leading very late in the race, but I think it's going to be too late at that point. So I'm going to basically be a full fade, if not a full fade, on Denny Hamlin.
I love it. Interesting. Who's next down here, guys? Hamlin starting 11th, Blaney 7th, Reddick 4th, Truex 9th, Christopher Bell is 3rd. Ryan, you were talking a little bit about Christopher Bell. Chase Elliott at 24th. Sterling, you seem to be into Chase Elliott. What's his ownership looking like on your end? And in this other salary range here, what are we thinking?
I'm seeing Elliott just below 30%.
Yeah, I'm with Sterling. I'm going to be way over the 30% on Elliott.
Yeah, he had good practice speed. He's got a good pit stall. He's got the number 1 pit crew. I think he can easily be a top 5 car. If he finished his 5th, no Dominator points, that's 6 times value. If he can finish 5th and get just 7 Dominator points, it will hit 7x value. And I think he can easily finish top 5 and potentially even lead some of this race. So I'm going to be all over Chase Elliott.
With Christopher Bell at similar pricing here, can you get both of them together? Like, Ryan, talk to me about Christopher Bell.
Christopher Bell is a guy I like. It seemed like there was one car at Vegas that could compete with Kyle Larson. It was definitely Christopher Bell. And after watching that Xfinity race yesterday, I was like, how sweet would it be, like, closing 2 laps, Christopher Bell and Kyle Larson, just slinging it around that track? Because I feel like they're two of the best wheelmen in the series. But yeah, I mean, at this, like, I'm kind of with Sterling where he's thinking, because you could go chase Elliott and get the same upside of winning. And Elliott's starting 24th versus Bell's third. So as far as winning the race, I think Christopher Bell could definitely do it, but I'm with Sterling where playing Chase Elliott over Christopher Bell might be a little bit of a smarter move just because you're going to get that place differential on top. So
we got
another guy.
Go ahead.
Another guy we got to hit on in that range is Tyler Reddick at 10K. He was fast in practice, one of the fastest, actually. You could argue he was the fastest. But going back to Las Vegas, he was that car that was right there with Bell and Larson the whole race. That race was pretty much Larson and Reddick there, with Bell coming in towards the end. But Reddick, he's another one. He's got a good pit stall. He's got a top 10 pit crew. I can see Reddick running inside the top 3 all day and leading a part of this race.
Salary wise, with us locking Larson, like, can we get to 2 more of the, like, roster construction wise, can we get to 2 more of these expensive ass dudes? Like I said, like putting Bell and Elliott together with Larson, is that even possible? Have you guys been messing around with builds? Like, do we have enough value to be able to make that work, or is that just we're just throwing darts by throwing in those cheap guys like that?
No, I definitely think there's a route. I was actually playing with the lineup because I was actually a little bit more on Byron. I went Larson, Byron, and I built a pretty decent lineup with using those two. So I think it's definitely doable.
Yeah, I was using a lot of Larson and Reddick and Chase Elliott, but
Yeah.
I think I was double punting quite a bit there. Definitely single punt. But I do not mind punting at all. Single punt anyways. I will have a couple of double punts, but for the most part, every line's probably going to have a punt in it, and that's going to be majority of that's going to be Ty Dillon for me, and then Daniel Hemrick.
Yeah, I think in just about every single one of my lineups, I have 1 punt.
So let's keep going down this list here. We talked about Kyle Busch already. I think we've established that's a fade situation for us. Who do you guys want to talk about value right now? Is there anybody in this middle range of pricing that really jumps out to you that you could fit in? Or is this stars and scrubs pretty much kind of build day?
Ty Gibbs is intriguing at 8,500. I mean, he's going to have to finish probably in the top 5. I mean, he's probably going to have to, I think, top 3 probably to get value. But he looked fast, and he's just a guy that he's due for his first win. So he's been running good, and I could see him maybe squeaking it out because he looked fast in practice. I mean, his practice times there's a lot of ones there. So
yeah, I would say the top 3 cars in practice were Ty Gibbs, Tyler Reddick, and Kyle Larson. And the thing that sticks out on Ty Gibbs is he was in Group A. Typically, we see Group A have a slower track, and he still put up a lot of number 1 lap times throughout Group A, throughout the entire field, though. So for him to be able to put up those number 1 lap times in the slower group is really saying something.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's crazy. I didn't even look at that A-B groups.
I'm gonna try and build quite a few that have Larson, Reddick, and Gibbs, which is kind of scary with there 3 of them starting inside the top 4, but I think it can work.
Yeah. I mean, what is there, 267 laps?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, if you get, at least if all 3 of them can lead 50 laps. Then,
really, we don't even need Gibbs to lead.
No, you just need a top 3 or
top 5, and I think he soaks up some fastest laps in the process.
Yeah. Pull up that chart.
But outside of Ty Gibbs in this 8K range, I actually have a lot of interest in this 8K range. I think my next favorite would be Alex Bowman, right below him at 8,400. He showed pretty good speed in practice, definitely top 10 speed, had quite a few laps that were top 5 speed. But he's got a good pit stall too. He also has I want to say top 10 pit crew. Top 13th is what he is, I guess. So still a pretty decent pit crew.
Where are you guys finding these pit crew rankings? Is there like a PFF for NASCAR?
In a sense, yeah. It's I get all that information from Pierce Dietrich on racefortheprize.com.
Nice.
Yeah, a lot of these are like retired, like a lot of these gas men and jackmen. They're like old retired, not retired, but they're I guess retired college football players and stuff. So
yeah, that's sick, dude. I think that's awesome. Whenever they, on the broadcast show more about the pit crew, that's really interesting to me because you can tell these dudes are like ex-athletes and they're pretty badass. Yeah.
But yeah, going back to Gibbs, he does so to get 5 times value, he has to finish second with a half of dominator point, and then to finish 6th time, he has to win with 5 dominator points. So we could see a little bit of if he's that fast, he can get some fast laps. And
I think Gibbs finishes top 3 today.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
I could see him getting his first career cup win here.
Yeah,
I don't want to see that, but I can see it.
All right. Any under this? What about Mr. Busher, Keselowski? They're picking up some okay ownership here. Anybody else in this 8K range, or you want to move on to this kind of 7K range?
Yeah, I sprinkled in a lot of Brad Keselowski.
He was in your core, wasn't he?
Yeah, I have a lot of him. Busher, I don't know why I sprinkled a little bit of him, but I don't really have as much of him as I do Brad K. I think it's just the way it worked out.
Yeah. For me, it's just that I like other people around that range that I could afford with my lineup. So
yeah. But Brad K, he always seems to finish in the top 10 here. I don't know what his
I believe he finished 7th and 8th in the 2 next gen races here.
Yeah, so starting 22nd, I was like, place differential. He has a top 10 history here. So in practice, he didn't look half bad. So
he's got 28 career starts at Texas. He has 13 top 10. So roughly 50% of the time 50%, he finishes top 10.
Okay. So yeah, this could be Ford's just kind of didn't look. I don't know. Ford's didn't really unload fast. I mean, we don't see Blaney. Blaney starts 7th, but like, I don't know. I expected more out of Blaney.
I did too.
Then Joey Logano at 20th, and then the RFK car is kind of mid-pack. So
yeah, Logano will pretty much be a fade for me. Close, if not a full fade.
Yeah.
I don't mind Bubba Wallace. He didn't show the greatest speed early in practice, but he got quicker as their practice session went on.
That seems like a lot of Toyotas too.
Yeah, it seems to.
I think that's like Toyota's. I don't want to say claim to fame, but it seems like every week we're saying the same thing about old Toyota drivers. It's like, yeah, they're decent, and then like in long run speed, I think they get better.
Yeah.
So we need value here. We're gonna need it. We're starting to get in that range. I was kind of joking around. I was in the Discord asking Sterling's crown their ass pick, and he was busy cooking stuff up on his end. And I joked around, hey, you're going Jimmy Johnson, right? And Ryan was like, he's so far below my radar, he's below a fade. Anybody in this range that you really are comfortable with, like as far as that's damn good value, we can plug him in order to get these top end dudes? Or is this like a crapshoot sort of situation when you start to get really low down here?
The one guy that I absolutely love in this range, and we talked about him a little bit Thursday night on the Rattled Cage podcast, is Daniel Suarez. He's starting 17th. He's 7,200. He showed great speed throughout practice. Like he's definitely a top 10 car. You could even argue that he's a top 5 car. And we've seen his teammate win here, I believe, in 2022. No, his teammate finished 2nd here last season. But that team's brought a lot of speed to this track, and he he won back at Atlanta. Now it's different package, so little different, but that 99 car definitely has speed this season, and I think we see that really stick out today.
Yeah, one guy that's kind of I do like Suarez too. I have a boatload of Suarez, but I like Josh Berry too. I don't know how you feel about Josh Berry, Sterling, but he seemed to like I don't know. He seems to be running that 4 car awfully well. He's outperforming my expectations
By far.
and it looks like his practice times were actually really good. I know I was looking at it when I was building lineups, but yeah, looking at it now, he definitely has a lot of green and starting 25th. Yeah, I could see him getting, top 15 easy.
Yeah, I think he has a similar ceiling to Chase Elliott. I don't want to say he has the same ceiling. I could see Josh Berry being like a 12th to 10th place
Yeah,
car.
I was gonna say anywhere between 10th and 15th. Yeah,
but
so.
I definitely agree with you. I like Josh Berry a lot.
Yeah, I have a lot of Berry, and I do have a lot of Suarez.
A guy that might go underlooked because of his practice times is Eric Jones. He actually looked like complete garbage in practice. But the thing about him is this is one of his best tracks. He finished 30th last season, but he finished 6th in the first next gen race here. He's got 12 career starts, 3 top 5s, 7 top 10s. So he can definitely get there. It's just he doesn't look like he has the car to do it, but I think talent's going to trump that, and he's
kind of been a guy that's kind of underperformed for me this year. I expected a little bit more out of him.
I think we will definitely see it later on in the season.
So I'm hoping he at some point turns it around, and it could be today. Like you said, this is a track that he does run good at, so he does do good at them high tire wear tracks, and this might play into that a little bit.
Any interest in Austin Syndrome here at starting in the top 10, 6,400? Is he just going to fall down to the back and lose us points?
That's my bet.
Yeah, I think he finishes maybe top 15, which is going to give you like 20 points if you're lucky.
Yeah, I'm out on him. What's the ownership on him? Just out of curiosity, I'm hoping projected's kind of high, but
I'm seeing like 16% on my end.
Okay.
I'm seeing less than 5, which I think is pretty accurate.
Yeah, I'm not in on him at all. Jimmy Johnson's a guy that, hopefully a lot of, I don't want to say amateurs, but hopefully there's a lot of
casuals
hand building on their phone, like, ooh, Jimmy Johnson, boom.
Yeah, Jimmy Johnson, 7-time champion, but yeah, he seems to always crash out or something always happens. Like I can't even remember the last time he finished a race.
I have no idea. I don't expect really anything from him today.
No.
I hope he comes in like 20% owned.
I do
because
too.
Of the name, but yeah. I'll be surprised actually. The field seems to be stronger as we go on.
Yeah. And other guys, that's honestly.
I'm afraid of Austin Dillon. I'm afraid of Michael McDowell. I don't really care about Ricky Stenhouse. Austin Hill could be interesting, but honestly, once we get down here, I'm probably just going to go the whole way to the bottom.
That's what I personally did. Like outside of Josh Berry, I basically then went down to my punts, like Ty Dillon and Daniel Hemrick, basically. Yeah. I didn't really play much of them guys in between that. I don't know your feelings, but
I think if you want to get risky with it, you can play Carson Hocevar, but I'm not playing him. Mm-hmm. So he's been decent. I feel like this feels like a day he's going to run like top 12. You're going to be like, oh man, I wish I had him, or be glad you had him. And then boom, he does something stupid and fucking crushes the wall.
Yeah, because he's known for that. I mean, he through the ranks he's come up, and he's been known to be like this over aggressive driver that like just takes himself out of contention, and like he's been criticized for that forever. So like until he and he's a rookie this year. He's still young. I mean, I'm not saying he's got a whole bunch of raw talent. I'm sure Sterling will agree with that.
Yeah.
The kid can drive, but yeah, he's got to limit them mistakes. So until he proves that, and especially starting 16th, because if he does make a mistake and finishes 33rd, even you're out a lot of points.
Yeah, for me down in that range, I'm gonna go Ty Dillon, Daniel Hemrick, and then I'll have a little bit of Zane Smith. Zane Smith had shockingly great speed in practice later on, but I don't see him being able to sustain this running position. I'm afraid he'll lose spots on pit road and then just never be able to regain track position.
With some of these cheapies, what's like the top end exposure? Like if you're using an optimizer and you're trying to make sure you're not getting overweight on these dudes, just in case, where are you landing? Like, is this like a cap at 20%? Is like with some of these guys, are you more comfortable getting into the 30-40% range? I mean, that feels pretty risky, right?
For these cheap guys?
For cheap guys, yeah.
Ty Dillon and Daniel Hemrick, I wouldn't be afraid to have a shit ton of them, just for the simple fact that they can't really hurt you being with their starting positions being 36 and 38. And I do think we are going to see some cars wreck out of this. So I think they'll gain spots at least through that. But Ty Dillon, he had really good practice speed, and we've seen Kaulig not be what they were. But Justin Haley has finished 13th and third at Texas in his 2 college starts in the next gen car. So Ty Dillon and Daniel Hemrick should have a pretty decent notebook to go off of. So I would not be afraid to get over 50% on those two, to be honest.
Yeah, I won't lie. I think like 80% of my contests have one or the other of Hemrick or Dillon. So
good to know.
Yeah, I'm playing either one of them. I mean, just to try to get more dominators. I think that's what you're gonna have to do. I think the optimal lineup's probably gonna have, obviously if Larson does win, it's gonna have Larson and then some other, Christopher Bell, Martin Truex Jr. or not Truex, Tyler Reddick. So I think you're gonna have to punt, and it's just finding that punt, and those are the 2 probably best punts.
You want to move on? You want to move on to these, like talking about some of these optimal lineups, talking about like the salary, where that came in, getting an idea here, like what jumps out to you about some of these previous builds DFS wise. And it feels like we're going to try to max out our salary here, right? I mean, Sterling, are you setting a min cap of 49K or something like that? Like what are your thoughts on that?
That's probably where I'll be on that. I could see stretching it to like 48.8, but for the most part, a lot of my builds had probably 49,200 seemed to be about where I ended up, most of them. But going back to the 2023 fall optimal, it used all of the salary. Total points were 335.05. But the thing that stuck out to me about this race was we did have Bubba Wallace. He was optimal. He started on the pool, scored a total of 76.45. But the thing that surprised me was he was the main dominator with 36.75 points. And the second closest dominator only had 4.2. Now, we need to point out that race had a lot of wrecks in it, so that definitely played a part in this. But I could see something semi-similar to this with Larson being the main guy. But I think it's going to be something more like the 2022 Texas race where we had one main guy and then 3 partial dominators.
What do you think, Ryan?
Yeah, it's kind of it's just kind of like the first thing, like we talked pre-show, it just seems like there is a lot of passing in these optimal lineups. Like, 2022 fall, even Eric Jones going from 27th to 6th, Chase Briscoe going from 30th to 5th. So, yeah, that makes me, be okay with, playing some place differential guys. So, like the Chase Elliott, that makes me little bit, easier about, playing a lot of Chase Elliott's and Brad Keselowski's and hoping that they do get to the front. Because, I mean, obviously you like to see that it can be done. So unlike like last week where they couldn't pass.
Yeah, and then something to hit on with Eric Jones starting 27th. He did have 20 Dominator points in that race too, so that's just kind of something to mention for either him or Chase Elliott, preferably Chase Elliott. But
yeah, no, I don't know. I don't know if I didn't go back and watch. I should at least watch some highlights, but this could have been like a pitch strategies kind of played a role at the end too, with a lot of these place differentials.
yeah,
Because I mean, there is a lot of cautions. I know Austin Dillon won the 1 year just off of pitch strategy. So
yeah, I believe that was 2020. Yeah, the 2020 summer race.
okay, so yeah, I mean, it's with all these cautions. If there's a caution with, I don't know, 10 to go or something, you could see your DFS day completely turn upside down, or you could see it, profit. So this is definitely a race that you're going to want to watch to the end and not count your chickens before they hatch.
Preferably don't refresh every minute.
Yeah.
Go clean the house or something, walk around, leave your phone on charge or something, and just let it happen.
Exactly.
All right, so let's move on to some of these speedster points. A little play on words there for Sterling. I know you kind of already kind of dove into some of this, but anything to add here with some information behind your Dominator / speedster points?
We'll just kind of hit on the fact that we've seen an average of 9 cautions per race, which would give us an average of 49 caution laps. So if we take 267 minus those 49, that'll give us roughly 218 green flag laps, which would give us around 98 points for fastest laps. And then we have just under 67 points for laps led. So we're looking at almost 165 total Dominator points. So that's just something to keep in mind. I think you'll want 2 to 3 Dominators here. But in the past 10 of the past 11 races, the pool sitter has led anywhere from 8% to 77% with an average of 23%. But that 77% was Kyle Larson just back in 2021. Now, it is worth noting that was a completely different car, but when you're Kyle Larson, does the car really matter?
No, he's going to drive anything.
So let's look at these rankings now. Obviously, jump in the Dynasty DNA Discord. Like I said, that's down below. Just click that link. If you while you're at it, if you want to jump in the Edge DFS Discord, we're talking UFL this weekend. Obviously, throughout this season. So make sure you jump in that. And while you're at it, throw us a like. We appreciate that. So you can look at these rankings a little bit more closer. We've already kind of covered that when you open up his breakdown here. But let's talk about your core here. Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Ty Dillon, your Dominators, Larson, Gibbs, Reddick, Byron, Bell. It feels like we can get, 2 to 3? Are you thinking 3 preferably?
Definitely 2 of them. Probably aim for 3 of them, but I feel like if you get a third of them, you're not going to be able to have Chase Elliott. So,
got it. And it
basically,
looks. Go ahead, bro. Sorry.
now that's pretty much all I had on that.
Value Hemrick, Dillon, Zane Smith. Since we've been talking, have you started liking anybody else for value? What about you, Ryan?
No, it's like I said, it's basically Hemrick and Ty Dillon for me. I mean, Zane Smith, I didn't realize his practice, and I might sprinkle in a few of him just after seeing that. But yeah, it's mostly Hemrick and Ty Dillon for me.
Zane Smith is a guy that I would not play unless you're going to have like at least more than a 20 max. So I'd focus on Daniel Hemrick and Ty Dillon if you're doing like a 20 max or less. Or if you just want to get real different.
So if you're hand building on your phone, like 2 or 3 lineups in the lottery, you probably avoid him. Is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Much.
All right, so you guys want to build? You want to build a lineup now that we've talked about all this stuff?
You know, I got one more thing to add. Sterling's not gonna like this. I'm not gonna like this either. I just jumped on the sports book, and the sports book thinks Kyle Busch is gonna finish in the top 10.
They can get fucked.
He's negative money right now for a top 10 finish. So if he comes out and gets a top 10, now I'm gonna feel even worse about myself.
I'm still.
I don't see it, but it makes me worry when, like, obviously you see the sports books think that he's gonna finish in the top 10.
I'm going to assume that he's opened at plus money and people just bet it down to that.
I hope. But yeah, let's go to building now. I just noticed that and I had to point that out. I was seeing if anything stuck out as far as top 10 bets.
If anything, that just spikes his ownership, maybe.
I hope.
All right, let's build a lineup, guys. So, let's start with like a single entry or like a cash build. Just like not even worried about ownership. Let's try to build like an optimal type lineup that we would want to use in like maybe a higher dollar entry, single entry or something. Where are we going? Larson right off the bat. We just leave Larson in on all these lineups.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
Another couple, another dominator or two here. Where are we going? You want to just plug Elliott in here right away?
Yeah.
Or is he a good cash play? I mean, it seems like it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Who's next?
Do you want to go?
I think we got to go either Reddick or Gibbs.
Let's go Reddick. I feel like Reddick's safe. Yeah.
Might as well get the value out of the way. You want to go Ty Dillon?
Yep. And then
leaves us 73.50. I feel like we got to go either Suarez or Barry.
Okay. Let's go Barry, because then that leaves us a little bit to go above, and then that leaves us with
7,900. Briscoe, Gregson, Suarez, Jones, Jimmy.
Maybe we still go Suarez. And that still leaves us. Yeah.
So Larson, Elliott, Reddick, Dillon, Barry, Suarez. Does that feel, now that we've built it, does that feel like a pretty high floor type cash build for you guys?
Yeah, I think so.
You could even swap Barry out for Jones. Either way there.
Got it.
You guys want to pivot off of Reddick to Gibbs and see what that gets?
Yeah, let's pivot off of Reddick and go to Gibbs.
8,500. Let's clear out these last two spots. Or let's just start fresh with Larson, Elliott, Gibbs. Where do we go?
Would actually probably, if we put Gibbs in over Reddick, we take Barry out. That puts us right at 9K, which would give you Kyle Busch. I think that would be a great cash line.
And even as a hedge to your complete fade in GPPs, wouldn't be a terrible idea, probably.
Yeah.
Who else do we have here? Sorry, I got ahead of myself. I'm at Larson, Elliott, Gibbs, and Busch.
Then Suarez and Ty Dillon.
Yeah, I like that.
Not bad. Larson, Elliott, Gibbs, Busch, Suarez, Dillon. Let's build a GPP build. Let's build one for the big contest. Let's think about being unique. Let's think about maybe soloing. How do we accomplish that? We could still get these high ownership guys in there. We just got to get weird with roster construction or punt twice. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, I think the one guy I think I want to try in cash, I think I might try a few of, is Ross Chastain.
I like that a lot, actually.
So, I mean, he's a little different. He's ran second here last year, didn't he?
Yeah, and I think he's going to be really low owned.
He's going to be really low owned. So I feel like if you're in a big GPP, I actually entered a few. I'm going to probably play Ross a couple times. So
let's throw him in.
Larson, Chastain. Is this a Reddick Gibbs situation again? Is it an either or kind of situation? Are you playing those guys together?
I wouldn't mind playing them together. Like, I was thinking we could build a second lineup after this without Larson and just those two.
Yeah, we could do that.
All right, so we're at Larson, Chastain. Where are we at now here? Elliott?
Yep, let's go Elliott.
Okay.
And what's another guy? Possibly, do we throw in like
I believe it's a 68.
What do you think about like a Bowman?
I like Bowman this week.
Okay, so like if you threw in Bowman, then that leaves you $6,000. If you went through Ty Dillon, that leaves you Eric Jones. I feel like that's
I like it.
I feel like that's a really unique.
I built that last night actually.
But I feel like that's kind of a unique lineup. Like I don't know a lot of people that might have, Eric Jones, Bowman, and Ross Chastain.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
So
nice. Max out our salary pretty much. That looks pretty good. I'm gonna enter that one. Let's pivot. Let's say we're crazy and we don't want to play Larson. What did you want to do instead of Larson? You wanted to play those two guys together, Gibbs and Reddick?
Reddick, yeah.
Now, could you fit Byron in there, just in case Byron takes off?
Over who?
Just put Byron on top of Gibbs and Reddick, and Gibbs, Reddick, and Byron. Can you start with them three?
6,900. We're in similar position.
Oh, yeah, we're in similar. Yeah. So, obviously, you're probably going to want to punt, probably. So, what if you go to Zane Smith in this one?
7,600 for each of the two remaining. We could go Busher and Suarez.
So, what if you go Brad K? If you went Brad K here,
that would be enough for Jones or Barry.
Yeah, Jones or Barry. I like Barry over Jones, but if you want to get different, you can go Jones.
Yeah.
So in this particular build, we've got no Larson, obviously. We've got no Elliott, but we managed to be able to fit Byron, Gibbs, and Reddick all together, and then we kind of double punted-ish, if you want to think of it that way. That's an interesting build. I mean, nobody's going to have that, right? Am I right about that?
Yes. You're probably right. And I mean, them three at the top are probably going to be your dominators if something does happen to Larson. So,
yeah, I would say like you're going to see an insane amount of your lineup start with Larson, Elliott, or Kyle Busch. Like I would say probably at least 80% of lines start with one of those guys, if not more.
Yeah.
So by fading all three, you get real different real quick.
So it feels like you can make decisions on, Larson. You can play these high owned guys. You just got to get a little unique. It might be a little bit harder to get unique, or you could say, screw it. I'm gonna go with some of the 2 or 3 of these other top end dudes and fade a guy like Larson. I think we've established we're not doing that. I'm sure. Here's the question: Are you 100% Larson? Like literally, is he a lock, or is this like an 80% situation?
I think my exposure was 75% last I looked.
I plan on being 100% my 20 max build. So
love it. So if there is 25% no Larson in your exposure, the build that we just did is probably similar to what you guys will be looking at, right?
Yep, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
What did we learn, guys? What did we learn? Anything else to any wise words to leave us with here?
I don't think. Nothing that I can think of.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch this race and win some money.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch the Xfinity race, even the truck race was pretty decent. I mean, this will probably be the snoozer of the week. It always is, but
yeah,
that Xfinity race was wild.
The Xfinity Core did pretty well too.
Okay, that's awesome.
Make sure you guys throw us a like on the way out. Jump in that Dynasty DNA Discord. Any questions? Obviously those guys are going to be in there up until lock, and obviously we want to pay attention if there's any weirdness where people get sent to the rear or something could change the entire strategy. For those of you you guys who have already built, I'm sure you're hoping that doesn't happen, right? Any last minute news?
Yeah, that's
start over.
Wrench into everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we appreciate you. We'll see you back next week. do we like doing Sunday mornings, or do you guys like doing Saturday nights better? I mean, I guess it depends on the schedule with qualifying and everything, and when ownership comes out, right?
Yeah. I mean, Sundays probably work good, but that's up to Sterling.
Yeah, either way is fine for me. Next week we at Talladega though, so it's going to be a pretty bland show.
Is it?
Yeah, that'll basically just be track history there. It's going to be a wreck fest. So.
And just throwing darts, just turn your randomness up and get as many lineups as you can get, the sort of situation.
Exactly.
All right, everybody. We'll see you guys next week. Make sure you guys obviously subscribe to the Edge DFS YouTube channel. Jump in our Discord as well if you guys are interested in UFL. There's a lot of interesting. I'm trying to get Ryan into UFL here.
Yeah. I wanted to check it out.
It's if you're paying attention, you can win money. As simple as that. All right, we'll see you guys later. Take it easy.
All right, win some money.